Hey guys, welcome back to Nikke. In today's video, we're going to do my top 5 list of Burst 2 units. This one's going to be a bit different because Burst 2 is kind of funny where you've got one clear top tier, one clear second tier in my opinion, and then everyone else sort of falls into line, but we'll go through it in it. This one, like the previous one, we are going to do another $50 giveaway as we're doing in this series, so you can check out the Burst 1 list if you want to enter that giveaway. But for this one, for the Burst 2 list, just be subscribed to the channel, leave a comment, tell me I suck, tell me whatever, anything in the comments, and you'll go into the draw, and we'll do the draw about a week away in a random comment picker. And then stay tuned for Burst 3 units because we'll do another $50 giveaway in that one. But this one, this was an interesting list to make because, like I said, it really feels like there's a definitive best, a definitive second best for most situations. Obviously, some things are going to be situational, and then everything else is sort of interesting. So let's jump into Burst 2 and take a look. So the best Burst 2 at the moment appears to be Dolla. She just has that unique effect, like when we looked at Burst 1 units, where she can reduce the cooldown of your burst skills, which is incredible. She also has this attack buff, which we all know now that attack scaling is incredible in this game. I hope they balance out crit, because crit rating and crit damage are both feel kind of broken in the game at the moment. So at the moment, increasing attack is the most important thing. This one, I believe, is a 10-second cooldown on a 50% uptime, which is pretty solid. Then when we look at her passive, so this is where we get it. So each time you enter a full burst, you're going to reduce the cooldown of burst skills, but you're also going to gain the additional effects of the first time you're going to get the attack, and keeping in mind the previous effect triggers when you do it. So the second time you're going to get attack and crit rate, and the third time you're going to get attack, crit rate, and crit damage. So she's just putting in that offensive power with the first two abilities, giving you the attack buff and giving you the offensive capabilities with her other one, along with those burst skill cooldown reductions. Then finally for her, and she's a 20-second cooldown, and for her burst skill, she's just got some solid single target damage. It's nothing crazy, but the rest of her kit makes it so viable, and the fact that she does have a 20-second cooldown skill wouldn't really matter what that skill was. It would be nice if it was a bit more supportive, but her other two skills fill that role, and so it means that you can slot her in there as your only burst 2, and you're getting those cooldown reductions to get you to your burst skills faster, which is absolutely fantastic. Plus the attack buffs are awesome. So her, in my opinion, definitely the top tier at the moment, unless, you know, there's something we're completely missing and the meta shifts. She definitely seems to be the top unit. So if you pull her, slot her in there, you're pretty set up. Also, I love the type of, I reckon she's got one of the sickest designs in the game. Don't ask me why. It just clicks with me. So that is going to be Dolla. Moving on from that into the second tier of Burst 2 units. Like I said, these two feel clearly defined in my opinion, but that is going to be Novel. Now, Novel's an interesting one. She may look kind of average when you think about it, but then when you get into it deeper, she's actually a fantastic unit. So first of all, we have this one, affects 3 enemy units with the highest defense, and we do get a bit of a defense shred. It's not massive at 7.05. It's still decent for 5 seconds. Defense shred, always nice, so can't complain with that one. Then we have the passive. Activates after landing 100 normal attacks. These come fairly quickly because she is an SMG and she's got quick reload time, so it's not too bad to stack this up, but she's going to gain defense. And stacks up to 5 times and lasts for 15 seconds, so you can stack this quite freely. Now, this one, once we'll look at a burst skill. Activates, affects 1 enemy unit with the highest attack, deals 330% damage. Pretty average multiplier, not too stressed about that. But then this one is the key thing. Activates when, I always call this copium, whatever that word is. Activates when this buff is fully stacked, affects 1 enemy unit, damage taken up 67.5% for 5 seconds. So you're going into that burst phase with a massive damage increase. Now, it is only 1 enemy, so in early waves, this is kind of useless, but in early waves, you're probably not going to have it fully stacked, so it doesn't matter. Where this comes in super clutch, obviously it's going to be nice in boss battles and stuff like that, but even in campaign stages, because a lot of, especially early game campaign stages, are DPS checks, and you're trying to get enough damage in on time, and when you get to that boss, she's normally going to be fully stacked on her buff, and then the enemy boss, even if there's ads, the boss is normally going to be the one with the highest attack. So you're still going to be applying that. So even if there's ads, when you get to the boss battle, you go into full burst, you just get your main DPS to focus on that boss. You're going to be dealing 67% extra damage, and it's really going to help with all those DPS checks. And often, maybe even if you leave the ads, if it took you longer to kill the boss, maybe they'd kill you. But because you've got that insane amount of extra damage, especially for that first 5 seconds, makes it absolutely incredible. So like I said, she's a strange kit, and I just think she balances out well across game modes, because even though in the early waves of campaign stages and stuff, she's not incredible, like she's not being crazy, but when you do get to that boss and it's a DPS check, I think she's absolutely amazing. But obviously in some circumstances there'll be better burst 2s if you need to sustain because you're not actually making it to the boss stage. But in my opinion, Novel is the second tier of the burst 2 units. Moving on from that, the next one I wanted to jump into, and this one's a bit of an interesting one, a bit of a hot take I think, but that's going to be Poli. Now, the awkward thing about Poli is that she does have a 40-second cooldown, which means you're going to have to run a 1-2-2 formation, being 1 burst 1, 2 burst 2s, and 2 burst 3s. But the reason I like Poli is basically she's a supportive and offensive unit, which I really like. So this one affects all allies. We get an attack buff. It's not a crazy attack buff, but it's a fairly high uptime because it is 10 seconds. So you are getting attack, and like we've said before, attack is king in this game at the moment. Then we got this one, affects self and 2 ally units with the lowest HP, except if it's her. So if she's one of the lowest HP, it'll be the next 2 lowest. Defense up 23.51% for 10 seconds, and shared damage for 10 seconds. Really nice for trying to spread it out and keep your damage dealers alive. But then we have this one, affects all allies, which is her burst skill. Once again, it is on a 40-second cooldown. Gain a shield equal to 22% of caster's maximum HP for 10 seconds, and attack up 44.55% for 10 seconds. Now, it's nice that these are 10 seconds buff, so if you're doing a normal burst cycle, you're not using the burst duration reducers, you are going to get that attack buff for the entire burst duration. And if it lines up with this one, you're going to get some extra attack for that entire duration as well. So she's got really nice attack buffs. But on top of that, she does have that extra survivability. So even though she is on a 40-second cooldown, I still think it warrants a spot in the list. Like I said, besides those top 2, everyone else is sort of a mesh, but I wanted to put Poli in there here just because, you know, people often look at the 40-second cooldowns and think, no, I'm not using that. It's a 40-second cooldown, but she does allow you the option to bring other units in, other burst 2s that do have the 40-second cooldowns, and you know, you can get some effect out of it. Something like Arya, who can deal nice damage. Arya also provides a shield, so that gives you like a sustaining core, but you also get some extra damage because Poli brings the damage buff, and Arya can bring some damage herself. It allows you to put Noah in if you want to bring Noah, because Noah can be clutch. We'll talk about Noah in a sec. You know, Folk Wang for some extra support. I believe Rupe also has a 40-second cooldown as well with an attack buff. But yeah, you can bring these type of heroes in with her and sort of balance out what you're bringing. But once again, a lot of people do like running 1 burst 1, 1 burst 2, and 3 burst 3s. But I just think there's a situation where Poli is absolutely amazing, bringing sustain and damage capabilities, because when you get later into the game, sustain does become a bit more of a priority because you do start getting wiped on the early waves, and being able to shield early is going to be fantastic. So moving into the 4th one on my list, and that is going to be Noah. Now, Noah just has something that no one else has, and I think it makes it completely viable. The other thing with Noah, because I've started using my Noah for some reason, and I don't know why, I if anyone knows how charging up the burst meter, you know how you got the burst meter to get towards using your burst skills, how that charges up, if anyone has deep insight into that, please hit me up, DM me on Discord. I'm trying to figure it out. It's too hard, but for some reason, Noah has insane amounts of burst generation. I have no idea why. It doesn't deal massive damage. It's just more than other grenade launchers that I've tested. I have no idea, but that is the first thing. So if you have a Noah you haven't tested, just try it out. Chuck Noah in your team. You'll see you get to your full burst like in like 5 seconds. Like, it's insane the way she can get you to full burst, especially in AoE situations. But yeah, that is the first thing. Like I said, don't you take that with a grain of salt. Just from my testing, it's absolutely insane. But here we go. Affects all allies, 10% chance to cast when attacked. Sustain damage down by 8% for 10 seconds. Now she's going to get attacked a lot because of this ability. Activates when attacking with full charge. Affects the target. Taunt for 2 seconds. And attack down for 2 seconds. Really nice. Keeping in mind, this is going to have a fairly high uptime of anything that she's hitting because she's just fully charging and then letting it go. So really nice there, getting the attack break as well, not just the taunt. Really nice. Another thing you can do with her, if you are using her and she's been taunting and she's getting a bit low, you can just manual take her over and not let her fully charge, just to give her some time to, you know, regain health so that she's not taunting and getting killed instantly. So that's something you can do with that one. But this is the big thing for her, is affect self, attract, taunt all enemies for 10 seconds, and then affects all allies. Invincible for 3 seconds, defense up by 99% for 10 seconds. Now, 10 seconds is a long time to get a really solid defense buff to mitigate some damage, but the invincible is insane in this. For instance, when we're looking at Interception S, everyone's probably up to Interception S by now if you started around global, and that thing just basically one-shots your team the second time it attacks you, depending on where you are. Obviously, if you're further along, if you're like level 120, you may get further, but there's always going to be a situation where if you don't hit those rings, the thing is going to one-shot you, and you can really abuse this and hold on to your burst to immune that damage and just keep cruising through. Now, that is something that I do on my account. It allows me to get to 4 loot boxes instead of 3 by abusing this, and it's absolutely fantastic. And you know, those sorts of mechanics are going to be absolutely fantastic. You can also abuse this in campaign. If you're in a campaign stage and you're noticing that there's a section where someone gets one-shotted, the enemy does too much damage, something like that, you can just hold out on your burst and use this to immune that damage and avoid a big burst damage from the enemies, and then keep your team going. This ability is absolutely fantastic. It is on a 40-second cooldown, so I really like pairing her with Poli. If you have Poli and her, it's a fantastic combo because Poli also does provide some of that, you know, sustainability as well. This is once we're moving into that mid-game stage where these guys really start to shine. Not so much in the early game, because in the early game it's more of a DPS check, but definitely one, if you have, check it out. Burst generation, amazing, and support, absolutely insane. So that is the first 4. Now, what I wanted to do is something different in this one. I just wanted to give a quick roundup of the rest of them, because I feel like everything can be used. It's just like you've got that clear. If you get Dolla, use Dolla. Poli and Noah have their situational use. Novel's just a great splashable one with the 20-second cooldown. And now I want to go through the others and just give you a quick roundup. So Signal and Yunhua, I think, are both just fantastic general units. They both provide defense shred, so they're going to be great for bosses. Signal's got a bit more of an AoE on her burst skill, both on a 20-second cooldown with a defense shred. Senti is going to give you a defense shred on the burst skill, but also a passive shield that's going to keep tracking up, and if you can get to faster charge times, it's going to have a higher uptime because her fully charged abilities are going to reduce the cooldown of it, which is really nice. Admi, I think, is one that's going to be fantastic with Scarlet. Her burst skill is going to reduce reload times, so that's going to be fantastic as well. Let's just double check. It's got double effects, so this one reduces reload time by 50.91% at max heal, which is pretty nice. She's also got a buff for charge damage, but I think this is going to be really nice. The reason I don't rate her much higher is because a lot of people are probably going to incorporate Privity as a free-to-play option once they get Privity into their team, and you've already got that speed reduced, so reducing it, you know, like by 50% of what's remaining is the way I believe it's calculated. Isn't going to be the craziest, but still nonetheless, Admi I think is a fantastic unit for that. Then Rupe, like I said, got the attack buff. She does have an extra buff that only affects iron units, so if you've got a heavy iron unit team, not too bad of an option. Folkwang, decent support. Problem with her is 40-second cooldown, and also she only protects the 2 allies with the highest attack, so if like your burst one is a support unit and they're getting low, they don't really get the coverage. Aria, like I said before, she's got shields and she's got decent damage herself. And then Uni. Uni is one I do not want to forget because Uni is fantastic. Uni is actually one that I contemplated putting in that 5th slot, but I didn't. She's a really good splashable one. At the moment, she can be abused by a bug to basically infinite ammo. But besides that, I think she's just all around a general good unit. you know, she provides this life steal. It's not crazy, but if you have a really strong damage dealer, they're going to heal a fair bit of it. Increases that charge speed as well. And then she's got this immobilize effect, which is pretty solid. So all round general good unit. And this is the one, the max ammo capacity up 1 round for 5 seconds. This can be abused, but in general, 1 round extra if you're running shotguns, snipers, rocket launchers, and they want extra rounds, it's not a bad effect. So I think she's just a good general splashable unit as well. So that covers it. Like I said, we did a bit of a top 4 there and just round out with the rest. Oh yeah, and then Diesel. Diesel's another decent support one. Not my favorite, but she does come more into play once again in that mid-game section where survivability is more of the thing. So she can help out there. I think that pretty much covers everyone, but top 4, last one, you take your pick. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.